What's up, friends? Today we're exploring the vast world of addictions, from the ones everyone talks about to the ones that might surprise you. If you struggle with addiction, definitely stay tuned. Check out what we got to share and reach out for help if you need some help. There's always resources out there for you, and we'll go over a few of them at the end of our podcast today. My name is Noah Thrives. I'm a life enrichment and relationship coach who's dealt with addiction and family members with addiction.
Brian, I'm a addict and a alcoholic. Battled the disease for most of my life, and I'm here to share my experiences.
And welcome to Addicts Unanimous. Let's get to it. So, addictions are definitely more than just drugs and alcohol. We see addictions a lot today in technology. We see sex addictions. We see addictions with our bodies, and how we view ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Technology, social media, gaming addictions, anything that you can develop a unhealthy habit with is an addiction.
unhealthy is the key, unhealthy for us and unhealthy for those around us that we're trying to nourish good relationships with. These definitely damage those relationships as well as our own.
Right, and it can stop your path of growth. Sidetrack you and get you diverted from your purpose.
Definitely. So today we're going to talk about substance addictions like drugs and alcohol. We're going to talk about behavioral addictions like gambling, social media, plastic surgery, doom scrolling. We're going to talk about how addictions begin and the warning signs, and we're going to talk about strategies for overcoming addiction. Addiction is a widespread issue affecting millions worldwide. The goal of this podcast is to inform, not to judge, and provide insight into recognizing and addressing addiction.
Yes, sir. Um, yeah, judgment's not a good thing to put on somebody when you have the same problems, We're here to help each other, and judgment just leads to division. So it's
I feel like we struggle with all sorts of addictions, you know what I mean? And we like to put those that just have substance addictions into a container and not look at our own struggles, you know. Caffeine, people wake up every day and need to have caffeine. People. So let's talk about some of the addictions that we know.
substance abuse. My big one was alcohol and marijuana, the go fast drugs, meth, coke, and all that stuff. I think those are the big hitters, pills and stuff, opioids.
My big ones were tobacco and caffeine, just readily available over the counter stuff. Man, it's such a struggle to get over that stuff because it's right there in your face all the time. What about what's the definition? The definition of substance
It's a
addiction.
dependence. Oh, it's a dependence on a substance such as alcohol, opioids, cocaine, and prescription medications
I definitely would include over the counter stuff there too.
for sure. My mom's hooked on a NyQuil, bro. She has to
Ooh,
get the NyQuil with some alcohol in it just to sleep every night.
oh man,
Hmm.
that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Readily available. Isn't syrup? Syrup is the cough. That's codeine, promethazine,
Right.
codeine, but that's prescription.
That's prescription. She's dealt with that too. That was a tough one for her to get off of. I remember when I was younger, she was drinking the codeine. I had to pour it out into the toilet, bro. This one
Hmm.
time is yeah, it got that bad.
Yeah, I've seen some of my family have addiction to prescription medications. They definitely have injuries that warrant the pain medications that they're on, but I've seen them abuse it, falling asleep into their soup, you know, the withdrawals, the anger, the roller coaster of emotions from the withdrawals, the nodding off, that kind of stuff.
The money spent,
All the money spent when you run out of your prescriptions and they won't give you more. They
right?
ended up finding it on the streets, which is
Oh,
even sketchier, you know.
I remember for a while there, my brother was getting my buying prescription pills off my mom, and they had like a thing they do every month, and it was like clockwork. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. I've seen, yeah, people trading their prescription pills for things, which was pretty bonkers. All the way up to heroin, it got to the point like my brother was trading prescription pills for heroin, you know, and that was pretty crazy.
And you know that's a lot of the blame has to do with the doctors and you know the companies making these drugs and stuff and doling them out there and just you know there was a long period there where you can go to the doctor and you could have got a prescription for anything. You know, I think they're kind of backing off that now. I see my mom's not able to get her pills without like doing certain counseling and certain steps she has to take to be able to get them.
There's a lot of regulation, more regulation now, and we need that, right, to prevent abuse and educate the patient on how to properly use these medications. Regulation, I've seen that the pain management, like you have to go to pain management appointments now to receive narcotics.
Right?
I just watched a show called Painkillers that was all about like Purdue Pharma and the Oxycontin and how they marketed it as general pain relief when it was like way stronger than like the MS Contin, which
Right.
is all various forms of concentrated heroin. It's all opioids from the poppy plant
Yeah.
and pushing the doctors to up prescriptions. So it was all about money. It was all about the sale. And I mean, in that instant, it's definitely a problem with our medical system and the regulation, FDA regulation on these medications. But not every, you know, not every doctor is like that. So you can't blame the whole entirety. And
And a lot of them are misled, and that's kind of just the way that's just the way it's been, you know, when you get into a lot of careers, I guess, it's kind of like you just follow suit with the people that were before you, you know. If you kind of step out of line, do anything different in a lot of these places, then you're cast out or looked at as an outcast. So a lot of people just fall in line and just do what the people before them did.
that's true. Let's talk about what are some of the causes of these substance addictions. For me, with tobacco was just being around the environment growing up. My parents smoked. A lot of people smoked in the 80s and 90s. It was kind of the cool thing. I felt, and it towards the end, I was more addicted to the act of smoking. But yeah, just being the environment, right? The environment, peer pressure,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's how I got into drinking and smoking myself. And I guess a lot of that stuff's got to do with school, you know, high school and what crowd you fall into, I guess. I think for me it was in my family, so it was kind of available in house. My mom smoked, my dad smoked, everybody smoked, everyone drank, so it was easy for me to be able to get my hands on those things if I was feeling a little squirrely or if I wanted to, you know, act out or something
for sure.
or just curious, right? I mean, we're curious when we're in high school and stuff.
Definitely curious. Definitely curious. Childhood trauma and neglect are another ones. Mental health disorders. We got depression, anxiety, PTSD causes us to seek out ways to escape, you know, ways to not feel the current moment, and it just
Yeah.
becomes a downward spiral.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where all the, you know, coping exercises come in handy and things that get you out of that headspace when you're wanting to escape, you know, because it's not about escaping. This is life, right? We're supposed to be participating, not escaping.
I agree. I agree. Some of the effects that these substance addictions have on us are the changes in brain chemistry, our dopamine, allowing our body to control its own dopamine releases. I don't know the word I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Our chemistry, man. I mean, I know it just from like vaping and stuff, bro. Like my chemistry's all messed up. Like I fiend for that over like food and stuff. It's crazy, you know?
Right? Cravings, withdrawals, definitely high relapse rates in substance addiction. There's
Yeah,
a there's a 2021 national survey on drug use and health that states over 46 million Americans struggle with substance use disorder. 46 million Americans.
that's probably a lot higher than 46 million.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
But yeah, it's a pandemic. It's huge. It's huge. And you could see it. You could see it with our society where it's how we operate and how people are, just people's mental health and spirituality. You know, it seems like we're a broken nation.
It's true. And we got a lot of people like celebrities and stuff that we look up to that are praising these substances, so it almost opens the door for younger generations to be more accepting and more willing to try out
Yeah.
substances, right?
And
So,
it's almost that almost becomes environmental now because it's right in it's in everybody's face, right? You got your phones, your computers, your compute, you know, your laptops and everything. These people aren't just somebody you see every now and again, you know. This is stuff that, you know, we're on social media and on TV and all this stuff for hours a day. And these are things people that we are seeing constantly, you know. It's in house
mhm.
now. It's part of our environment, you know.
Yeah. So those are pretty common ones. That's the common addictions, right? Is substance abuse, alcohol, opioids, cocaine, prescription meds, methamphetamines. There's research chemicals out there that people are getting addicted to. MDMA, ecstasy, is a big one. I've seen people, growing up, I knew this kid who got addicted to ecstasy and the totally changed who this guy was. It like fried his brain pretty much. Using it pretty much like starting on the weekends, every weekend, and then every day just to cope with the day. And the guy's a zombie right now. It's hard for him to think. It's hard for him to have a conversation. It's hard for him. His cognitive ability is fried from it. So,
Yeah.
and that's one that's in media right now for its some potential therapeutic benefits, which I believe there are some therapeutic benefits, but that's under the supervision of, someone that knows what they're doing, a doctor or, appropriate guide, and with aftercare to make sure that that doesn't become an addiction for the person. It's very important.
Very, very important.
Have you seen people in your experience like have massive changes in who they are as a person because they went too hard on stuff that they were addicted to, or
Yeah. Like you said, I had a friend in high school that he got caught on ecstasy. I mean, I don't really even know what he was on, but I mean that was one of the big ones. And yeah, he's fried. I haven't even talked to him in years, but he went down this whole road of suicidal behaviors for a while. I mean, he didn't live. He kind of just was stuck in high school, you know, after that, and he just fell off. I haven't talked to him at all. But yeah, I mean, just just the way I think people's spirits kind of go away, or they get, they get the drugs kind of take your spirit away a little bit. And I can just tell when people are changing just because they're not chasing the things that you should be chasing in life, and they're just chasing the drug and the high. And you can tell that's just what their whole motivation is, from waking up to going to sleep. That's just all it is.
Yep. There's a lot out there, unfortunately.
Well,
Let's talk about some of the addictions that no one talks about.
yeah. One I've been struggling with lately is like binge eating. I think for me it's like stress eating. I got a lot on my mind, and then when I finally get a chance to kind of cool out at the end of the night and chill, I just kind of go in on the desserts and the sweets and stuff like that, and that kind of gives me a dopamine hit. And
Big
um,
time.
I feel like shit all night. I just sleep like crap, and I wake up feeling like shit, and I usually have a bad day the next day. So those are all signs of unhealthy addiction.
Let's define that. Eating addiction. Eating addiction or binge eating disorder can be defined as a compulsive relationship with food leading to overeating as a coping mechanism. Some causes of that would be emotional triggers like stress, anxiety, depression, trauma, low self-esteem, body image issues, chemical imbalances affecting cravings.
Mhm.
The effects of this leads to obesity. You got heart disease, diabetes, social isolation.
Yeah. And then just, yeah, just overall wellness. Your wellness is just in the gutter. You're not feeling good. Your gut is your second brain, or your first brain really. But if you don't have a happy gut, then you're probably, having a bad day, basically.
Definitely, I can relate to some eating addiction. I don't know that it's an addiction, but like just stress. When I feel stress or anxiety, I'll eat. So I guess that would be the binge eating disorder part of it, but I'll eat stuff. And I used to eat really bad processed foods because that's what's readily available. And I made a shift. I made a shift in my life to eat healthier foods. So now if I feel myself binge eating, I'll go for an apple or a banana or celery. Always have a little thing of like sliced beets, sliced radish, celery, and carrots. So it's kind of four things that I allow myself to munch on and when I'm feeling like kind of stressed or anxious, right? And that really helps, honestly, because I'm giving myself vitamins and I'm giving myself good, healthy, raw foods that, my body deserves. And it comes, yeah, there's less of the feeling like crap afterwards because of your body digesting all this processed junk, less chance of obesity and heart disease, diabetes. On another side of this, I'll share that when I was younger, I was definitely a chunky boy. It was rough in school for me because I was a big kid, and I ended up becoming bulimic for quite a long time. So I'd eat, and it wasn't even like I'd eat a mass amount of stuff. It's just I ate stuff and I'd throw it up. So I'd make myself throw it up, which now has affected some of my teeth. It's taken off some of the enamel just from the stomach acid wearing away at it. I think my esophagus and all that is okay, but there's been times where like, I throw up a little bit of blood and freak me out, stress me out even more. But yeah, bulimia is another one that's not really talked about that's very important to address.
For sure. And I think a lot of the eating, like going back to where you said the cigarette, for me it was like the habit of the crunch and the chips and eating the chips or seeds, a lot of that stuff. And it's mental for me too, a lot of it. I think that munching on some celery or some radishes, if you can just change it in your head, that it would get the same effect. You know, I think a lot of it's mental. It's not really your stomach. You're not hungry maybe, but a lot of it's mental when you're binge eating, you know.
For sure. It's something to do. It's a distraction, right? You're anxious. This gives you a distraction from whatever's going on. A lot of the times you'll feel better after eating a bunch of stuff especially once that signal gets to your brain that says, okay, that's enough. But it wasn't initiated by hunger, right? So I feel it's kind of a different path that happens and a different trigger,
Mm,
but in my experience.
right. I think so in mine too. Because a lot of times I'm not even hungry when I'm, you know, I'll like eat dinner and then I'll start eating something afterwards, you know, and I know I'm not hungry. I just had a big meal, but I'm still sitting there like snacking on chips or popcorn or whatever, you know.
Right. I think that's one thing to help out with that would be like, again, like I said, I've made the shift to like really consume healthy things and put healthy things in my body that my body needs and deserves, right?
Right.
So that I can operate at my fullest potential. So I've created, I don't know that it's an addiction, but almost like a challenge. So I've got blood work done. I see that my triglycerides are high, which is bad cholesterol, right? And I can relate that to because I eat plants. There's one thing that was my cheat was like French fries. But the French fries aren't always like fried in good oils, and it's a lot of oil. The French fry itself isn't always a good potato. So seeing that correlation of how it's affecting my body down to the blood level has really helped me to stay away from those kind of things. I mean, French fries are delicious, of course, and I always have a craving here and there, but wanting to live to my fullest potential from here forward means that I'm not eating any fried French fries at this point, no more. I could see how it's affecting me biologically.
It's a good way to go about it, man. It's a good way.
Yeah. Here's another one that not many people talk about that I actually don't have much experience with, but I know a lot of people that do, is gambling addiction.
Gambling addiction.
Hmm.
That's a compulsive urge to gamble despite negative consequences,
Hmm.
like losing all your money. Or,
Losing your money, losing your friends and family.
Mhm.
Oh man, not being able to feed your kids, not being able to make house payments.
Yep, yep. It's a tough one. I myself don't have a gambling problem, but I know that if I got synced up into it, I could. And I've done like fantasy football and I mean I played the lotto and stuff like that, and I could see myself definitely getting addicted or hooked onto to it, especially if I won. You know, I think that's the thing. I never really win big, so that's kind of the thing that's maybe keeping me from getting addicted, you know,
Yeah,
because I haven't had that dopamine hit from the gambling in my life.
right. And that's exactly one of the causes is the seeking the thrill of the win, right?
Mm.
Trying to get that jackpot, knowing that you got a 1 in a million chance of getting that jackpot, or they sell you on it saying you have a 1 in 1,000 chance. So you have even more chance and opportunity to get that jackpot or whatever, which
Hmm.
winning, no matter what you do, creates a dopamine surge because we reward ourselves for doing something awesome, right? Or winning or achieving something. But the gambling itself and winning at that and the dopamine surges from that is definitely addictive to a lot of people.
Yeah. And with the gambling, I mean, like if you go to a casino, it's just set up for like instant gratification. There's all these lights and bells and singing going on, you know. It's just it's really it's a setup. It's a setup with the casinos, and I stay out of them. Maybe I'll play a slot or two or put a couple bucks down on like some blackjack, but Oh man, it's you can get caught in there. I've seen people just sitting there for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and not even like see the daylight of the sun, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, for sure. Some of the other causes are financial stress. So like you're already in financial stress and you go down to the casino exactly and put all the money you have left because you feel like you're gonna win and it's gonna cure all your problems. And either you win and you pay your bills now and all that financial stress comes again next month or
right?
whatever, or you lose and that financial stress is just multiplied, right?
It
So
piles on.
now you're even in a bigger hole.
Well, now and then you're desperate, dude, and then desperation comes in, and then you know there's you might have to borrow money or commit crimes. Desperation and finances make people do funny things, and I think a lot of crime comes from gambling. I think they're kind of together, you know.
For sure. I agree. We got gambling culture like you were talking about before, casinos, sports betting. They've made gambling even more convenient by doing online stuff. I've seen my mom get into this Pogo, I think it was, some site where online,
Like
yeah, and it's just like
that.
slot machines and all sorts of all the bells and whistles and lights, but in front of your computer screen. Now you don't gotta leave your home to give up all your to lose all your money.
Yeah, I think that's a big one that celebrities deal with. Michael Jordan, a lot of sports athletes and stuff, because they got a lot of money and they're competitive anyway. So I think a lot of athletes and deal with the gambling thing. I think even more than we do because they have the money and they have like that competitive edge. So
Well, they're
yeah,
around that culture, and it's the
yeah.
same. You get the same high from winning at the basketball game that you played in,
Hmm.
or whatever sports game that you played in, and you get the same high when you win when you're out there gambling, you know?
So it affects gambling affects the full multitude of people. Maybe not children as much, but maybe children from the people gambling. Parents gambling the money away. But I see that I see they're starting to like introduce kids to the gambling and stuff. You can see it in social media and even in school and stuff. There's hints of it everywhere.
It's true. Scary, I'm sure. Do you what kind of gambling stuff do you see like with in relation to your kids? Your kids.
Just online stuff mostly, video games. Just basically just a lot of like putting in their energy and then getting some kind of prize back from the game. And it's not really a prize or they're not really getting anything tangible with it. It's just like a lot of screen time stuff with the kids. They're
Mm,
getting a lot of like dopamine and a lot of gratification through things on the internet, just things that aren't real, things that aren't tangible, things that aren't that don't matter.
not serving.
Yeah, they're not serving them. It's just like it's trash gratification.
Cash gratification, that's a good one. All right, next let's talk about sex and porn addiction.
Sex and porn.
Define, go ahead.
That's that's a good one.
It is. Definition is the obsessive preoccupation with sex or pornography leading to risky behaviors and emotional distress.
Yes, yes. The obsessive preoccupation with sex, which
It's
could be
all you think about, all that's on the mind. It's hard to
mhm,
get anything else off the mind. When you look at somebody, you think about,
the outer, the externals, right? You're not thinking about the internal. of that person. You're looking at people like an object,
Right. Right,
you know?
right.
And I think a lot of that stems from porn, you know. I think the porn industry has led us to turn women into objects, turn men into objects, and the whole act,
Objectified.
yeah, objectify and just turn the whole act of sex into something that it's definitely not. You know, there's no intimacy in porn. There's no, you know, no nothing. It's just filth. It's filth.
Facts. And just it's like that dopamine release. That's all you're getting from it, right? Just
Right.
that moment to escape and the moment of this pleasure and dopamine release.
Yeah. And it's not reality. You know, it's not reality. That's not what people look like in real life. You know, that's not how people act. It's not how anything happens. It's all movie. It's all movie. You know, you might as well go
100%.
watch a movie in the movie theaters. You can get the same kick from it, you know.
Yeah. I think some of the causes of sex and porn addiction, we got childhood trauma, early exposure to sexual content, a low self-esteem, using sex and pornography for validation.
Mhm. I know there's a female I'm working with right now, and she's got all these pictures she takes, and I mean, she sends them to me like they're like emojis or like they're like, you know, like a quote or something that you share with somebody, and she just, and I don't know what it does for. I guess it makes her feel good. It makes her, I don't know. I don't know what she's looking for. Like, I can only tell somebody that they're hot so many times, right? I mean, but they keep coming, you know? So I think it's something with herself almost. You know, that's the only way that she feels that she can be validated is if she's in a sexy pose or she's in sexy clothing or, you know,
Well, hearing it from external, right? Like what comes with that too is like low self-esteem, low self-worth, so you have to reach out to the external to get that validation, to feel that that you're worthy of something, to feel that you are beautiful because you don't feel beautiful yourself.
right,
Right. And the dopamine addiction from that, getting that like all that praise, oh my God, you're so hot, oh you're beautiful, da 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 da.
right. But it's
Which again is just all surface. It's all surface level.
right. Because
And
the only real way to feel good about yourself is to work is for you to work on yourself and feel good about yourself inside and not, you know, not from what other people are saying or thinking about you. Because I can think you look a certain way, and this other person could think you look, you know, exact opposite. You know, so
mhm.
it's all in your perception. And you know, I've seen girls that were hot, and I didn't think they were because of their attitude or you know who they were inside because they didn't do work on themselves and they weren't, you know, a full person. They were just like a mold.
For sure. And some of the effects of this sex and porn addiction is damage to relationships, increased risk of STIs if you're going out and being irresponsible through your
For
sexual behaviors, emotional emptiness.
sure, for sure. Definitely emotional emptiness
Hmm.
and expectations, man, like expectations of other people and of yourself that you'll never meet.
I have a friend whose son recently came to her and talked about his addiction to porn, that it became an unhealthy problem. And I'm just thinking about that, like, it's tough because you shut everybody out to sit and watch porn, right?
Right. Right.
And
Like two
and
strangers.
right, and man, the struggle with that, like I couldn't even imagine, but the struggle with that to for that to be all that's on your mind. you know,
Right, right. And to have like healthy, godly thoughts, you know?
for sure. And healthy relationships with people where like you can act, you're actually engaged in the moment of
Yeah,
enjoying life, all
right.
life, you know.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. Definitely a dangerous one because of the STIs and the risky behavior, you know?
So we got another one here. Actually, here's a stat. So three to 6% of the population struggles with compulsive sexual behaviors. So if this is something you're experiencing, don't be ashamed. You're not alone out there. It is a struggle for many, many people, and we're gonna have some resources here shortly for you if you need to get some help.
Yeah, a new
Next,
one.
we're gonna talk about social media and technology addictions. To define that, we got compulsive need to check social media, scrolling endlessly, or engaging in excessive online activities, escaping from reality, right? You're escaping from the reality and into this false social world. Well, I guess it's not false, but a lot of it is very fictional.
Hmm. My daughter's been playing Roblox, and that is definitely a fake world. Her friends are in there. She could dress with in whatever she wants. She spends money, like real money in there. It's pretty scary, actually, that
Like,
they
what
have
is
this
it like? She's a character in this fake
character.
world.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep, she's a
but
character.
interacting with other characters
Yep.
that are directly attached to someone else behind.
Hmm. Like
Okay.
she has her friends are all characters in there too. So they're just like running around in this world, and they have all these games and stuff they could do inside the world, and they have all this. I mean, and it's immersive, man. It's there's so much you can do in Roblox. It's crazy. I mean, she was doing typing the other night, like words per minute, and there was some good stuff in it, you know, that she's learning some stuff, but it's definitely it's a little it's walking on the edge there of reality, you know.
What kind of things cost money in this Roblox?
Clothing, like if you want
So,
to dress your character a certain way,
so you're spending real money in this world, putting it into a virtual world to change virtual clothes on a virtual character.
right,
Interesting. Yeah.
right, which could go all the way back to like, you know, your self image, right? If you're trying to not be who you are in reality and you want to change who you are, I mean, that's a perfect place to do it, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what she wanted for Christmas, actually. She wanted a gift card for Roblox.
Mm.
And she went and spent that money on like making her character the way she wanted to make it. And she sits here when it's raining or we can't go outside, and she just sits here with her friends and plays in that world. And it's like she's not even here.
What would you say are some of the causes of social media and technology addiction?
I think boredom. I think with kids, it's some of the parents not creating things for their kids to do, not creating a healthy environment or a reality or some kind of outlet for their children to get into other than the video games and the online stuff. And I'm guilty of doing that. You know, it's hard to keep kids busy. So a video game or a phone is a real easy way to kind of a little babysitter. I call it my babysitter, you know, if
Yeah.
I need minutes, you know, and I hate it. I hate it. I even yelled at my mom not yelled at her, but I kind of got on my mom for giving Ava the phone yesterday when we were at the food bank, and she was fine, you know, she's just sitting in the car and she's looking out the window and everything's fine. And my mom just reaches in her phone and says, or in her purse and says, here's the phone, Ava. And I'm like, well, she was fine. Why are you giving her that for? You know, that's like you might as well give her a gun or something, you know, that's it's bad for them, you know, and so
For sure. I think escapism. causes of the addiction, escapism from real life stresses and loneliness.
Mhm.
Definitely the dopamine hits from likes and shares and notifications. Always checking to see if you get that engagement, which I think also applies to validation, like you were saying with the characters and the clothes and designing this character in the image of how you want yourself to be viewed, right? And to that gives when someone says, "Oh, your character is so cool," that gives you validation. It's kind of a false validation, right? Because it's a
Right,
character in a virtual reality.
right.
Fear of missing out definitely is the addiction. Like, if I don't check this right now, then I'm going to miss out on the next event that's going to happen. I'm going to miss out on a discussion. I'm going to miss out on walking around in this false world to type your words per minute. I don't know. All sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
I've found myself just kind of like doom scrolling and just to kind of escape, right? Just to, I don't know, to give my brain duff. It's all just fluffy duff nonsense or whatever most of the time, you know.
yeah,
I'm looking for things that can increase my interest or brain or learn something sciency or garden related or whatever, but it's rare. There's most of it's just stuff.
yeah. And a lot of that when you get into the scrolling and stuff like that, it's not all things you want to see. They throw other stuff in there, they throw in depressing stuff, they throw in the news, they throw in so it's hard with this with the scrolling and the tech. And I mean I can get on like Facebook and go through the news feed, and I'll be looking for something to motivate me, and I'll end up doing something totally different for like an hour, like watching sports for an hour when I went on there to research, something for the podcast or something.
Yeah,
So it's definitely for me, it can get me off track a lot of the times. I think that's what the biggest thing with tech and stuff for me is it gets me out of my focus because there's so much things you can look at or do.
for sure. Which there's actually a doom scrolling addiction.
Yeah,
Doom scrolling addiction is defined as compulsively consuming negative news, leading to anxiety and stress, compulsively consuming these shorts and reels on social media, just rapid fire of random, non-focused content and material, which is all over the place. There's some happy puppies and kittens, and there's a lot of fires and guns and sad, crazy stuff out there, misuse of firearms. But and the statistic is 16.5% of people engage in severe doom scrolling, which causes mental health declines.
yeah. That's a large percentage. It's a large percentage. And that spreads. So, negativity is spreadable. So once somebody gets, I work at the well, I guess not doom scrolling really, but yeah, it's spreadable, man. That stuff's spreadable. It's like a disease. Negativity is like a disease.
For sure. A couple more here. Let's talk about plastic surgery addiction. I haven't necessarily experienced this myself, but defined as the obsessive need for cosmetic procedures due to body dysmorphia. For
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
it wasn't plastic surgery, it was the bulimia, but I can see where people have this obsession with trying to make themselves in their perfect vision.
yeah. And I think a lot of that social media and things tie into that. I think we all see people on TV and on the news and on the social media, and we all have, some of us might have a certain way that we feel like we have to look or to be accepted. Um,
You have any experience with body dysmorphia or how you see yourself?
I mean, I've always have not always liked what I looked in when what I see in the mirror. We're our own worst critics. So yeah, definitely I've had problems with weight in my life. Either at one point I thought I was too skinny, and so I would eat more. Working out, I've always like obsessively worked out, always tried to almost to the point where I hurt myself, when I go to the
Mhm.
gym, I'll go really hard, and then the next day I'll just, I'll have a hurt leg, I'll have a hurt ankle, and I think that stems to some negative body image for myself.
For sure. Another one we got here is adrenaline addiction. So the thrill-seeking behavior, craving extreme sports or risky activities. I think that even ties into like content creators putting themselves in very risky situations to try and get the likes,
Mm,
right? Which ties into social media addiction because you're doing things specifically for the likes.
right.
But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I can even see the way I created content before I changed the way I've created content because of the likes and stuff. But I think adrenaline could go into a lot of other addictions. It can go into the sex addiction and go into the substance abuse. I get an adrenaline rush when I was doing drugs, or just thinking about doing the drugs with an adrenaline rush a lot of the times. I was saying the adrenaline ties into the dopamine.
totally. So let's talk about how addictions begin and the warning signs, right? So addictions, they develop through coping mechanisms by escaping from stress, trauma, anxiety. We got peer pressure is a big one, influence from social circles and environments. I know I've experienced that a lot myself. The dopamine chase. Addictions create pleasure responses that the brain craves. And when we use these substances or when we have addictions, we rewrite our brains to focus on those things to get those dopamine craves instead of allowing our body to release dopamine rewards on its own. And accessibility, right? The easier something is to access, the more likely addiction can form. And I've
Mhm.
experienced that with tobacco. I've experienced that with caffeine and energy drinks.
Yep. Yep. I used to steal cigarettes from my mom. That's how I started smoking, stealing cigarettes out of my mom's cigarette packs.
Yeah,
So, what's some warning signs of addiction?
good call. Like some red flags, we got
Red flags.
increased secrecy is a good one, right? So like hiding habits or lying about usage is
Mhm.
definitely a red flag.
Yep, I've definitely lived double lives before. Mood swings, irritability, depression, extreme highs and lows.
The roller coaster, I definitely understand that.
Yep,
Felt that.
see a lot of that with opioids.
hmm Loss of interest is a red flag, right? Abandoning hobbies, relationships, and responsibilities because your focus is on your addiction and feeding your cravings.
Mhm. Definitely a decline in self-care. I mean, if you're focused or worried about your phone or something on social media, then you're not going to take the time out to maybe brush your teeth at night. You're just going to sit in bed and scroll.
Yep, I've seen some real serious gamers like give up their diet and give up their sleep to sit and game for hours and hours on end, and they just drink energy drinks. And a
Hmm.
lot of these energy drink companies market to those people,
Yeah,
you know.
they're all in cahoots.
So yeah.
And one that I deal with is financial struggles.
hmm
Definitely just having to borrow money, always being behind, always being in a hole, and then just the feeling of feeling bad after you spend money on things that aren't serving you or aren't gonna. do you any righteousness in your life, because all these things that you're spending money on, these addictions and stuff, they're short-lived. So you get a small little you get some happiness for a small amount of time, which is fake. And then, I mean, after that, you're just left in a hole and usually less money. No, saying like less money and money you could have spent somewhere else. Money you could have put into stocks, or you could have spent on your kids, or you could have done a million other things with, but now it's just gone.
Hmm. For sure. Some specific addictions and their red flags. Something to look out for, to pay attention for yourself, or if you see a close friend or family member struggling, and you see some of these red flags, it might be a good opportunity to reach out in a caring space from the heart, um, to let them know that you're there and for their support and recovery. Substance abuse, you could see bloodshot eyes frequently, slurred speech, depending on the substances used, irresponsible or not handling your responsibilities, missing school, missing work.
Yep. Work's a big one for me. Ask my ex if she knows that I'm having some issues if my child support doesn't come through. So that's when she kind of knows that I'm missing work and stuff like that. So that's a red flag for me, was the missing work one.
Um,
Some other red flags for like gambling is like the obsession with winning big.
Maxed out credit cards or like lack of financial stability and handling financial responsibilities.
Right?
Always talking about the jackpot. The obsession with the jackpot or the obsession with, you know, one more round or one more time or yeah. Social media addiction, some red flags. Panic when you don't have the phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Avoiding real life conversations.
Right. Right. Or just always being on it, just being
Attached.
preoccupied. Yeah, preoccupied. Yeah, it's crazy. There's people at work on their phones, like in the middle of their work, in the supermarket on their phones. It's insane. It's insane.
I remember that whole like Pokemon Go when that came out, people were so zombied out and hyper focused on their phone that they're like walking off of cliffs or walking into traffic trying to get a Pokemon.
Yeah.
Some
I,
crazy
my
stuff.
my kid, my son still plays that every now and again, and they'll go out and they'll find places and they'll go walk around for a couple hours or whatever and go. I mean, it's all right, but yeah, I remember when it first started, it was a little crazy.
It did get crazy.
It'd be crazy for a minute. A red flag for like a plastic surgery.
Yeah, like constant dissatisfaction with your appearance,
Yep, constant. I mean, I think the red flags for that you can kind of see. Yeah,
talking down on yourself often,
yeah. Maybe the person might be a little, not sociable too much, But you can see usually when people do the plastic surgery and stuff, it's done like they do multiple, it's the nose, the lips, the eyes, the Botox, you
trying to
know,
avoid the downtime also, with bandages on your face.
right?
And adrenaline addiction, some red flags, taking unnecessary risks.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you're just gonna be like down, like it's like those risks when they don't go the way you want them to go, then they're usually a lot bad things happen, like a lot of bad happens, right? When you take those risks, it's not, they're really not like a little small risk, like should I wear a hat today, or like should I bring an umbrella out? It's like, you'll see life-changing events happen with these risky situations.
Right. Yeah, reckless decision making.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot. So, you think you're addicted. What to do? What to do?
To do. Admit it.
Fir- First, though, let's just say addiction is not a moral failure. It's a medical and psychological issue, and seeking help is a sign of strength, not a weakness. So here's some steps how you could take control.
First step I would take was just admitting it, admitting you have a problem.
Yeah, recognizing it for sure. Recognizing the problem. Tell somebody, externalize it. Confiding in a trusted person can help. It's no longer just on your plate now. Now you have people, your support, you're bringing in your support network of people who got your back.
Yep, yep. And sometimes when when you put it out and other people can see your issues or what you're struggling with, and their different view on it, usually can get you out of it. Just somebody seeing it in a different light, and letting you know. And then from there, I would get with my support system and probably like
Yeah, make
make
a
a plan
plan.
how to go about you know, getting so you're not in this spot anymore. So you're making healthier decisions.
For sure, make a plan to gradually reduce your use. A lot of these substances out here are so strong that you risk some bad health reactions if you don't gradually reduce that, or consult with the doctor who can help you to get off of certain substances with the help of prescription aids that can reduce. There's another word that I was looking for. Reduce or detox, help you to detox off of that. A good therapy that works for you, that you feel comfortable in talking talking about your struggles and addictions, and helping to make realistic goals to overcome those. Replace it. So that's a good one. Swap the addiction for healthier habits. You know, a lot of these addiction substances are so harsh on the body and stuff like that. So replacing that with something that's you're consciously benefiting your body, your mind, your spirit, your heart, your organs, all that to live and thrive.
All right, get the natural dopamine.
Natural dopamine is great.
A big one and the most important one, I think, is just so you're just seeking support and sticking to that support. And whether it be professional or your friends or other addicts or other people dealing with these diseases, it's always strength in numbers, and there's always people out there willing to give you that space to help you, because a lot of the times when people are helping you, it's helping themselves. So yeah, seek the support. Don't be scared to ask. Don't be scared to just put it out there and not be judged, because you won't be judged. We're all dealing with some kind of addiction out here, and we all can help each other.
100%. And on that, we really want to thank you for joining us on this podcast today as we discussed various types of addictions, how they begin, some key signs and red flags to pay attention to if you or you know someone that may be dealing with an addiction struggle. Do not judge, provide safe space to help as much as possible. Addiction comes in many forms, some obvious and others are hidden. And if you recognize signs in yourself or a loved one, as stated, don't wait, seek help. And if you found this episode valuable, please share it with someone who might need it.
Subscribe for more conversations that matter. Stay healthy, stay informed, and take care of yourselves.
Have a blessed day. I'd like to share some resources that if you or a friend are struggling with any kind of addiction, we have some resources here that you could reach out to. First is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. This is a government group. Their website is www.samhsa.gov. They have a helpline at 1-800-662-HELP. It's 24/7, confidential and free assistance in English and Spanish. And you could text them at 435-748. 24/7, confidential, free assistance. There's Alcoholics Anonymous that most people know, but www.aa.org. You can find a meeting at the same website, .org/find-AA. Narcotics Anonymous, you got www.na.org/meeting search for finding a meeting. Gambling addiction, there's the National Council on Gambling on Problem Gambling, NCPG. Their website is www.ncpgambling.org. Their helpline is 24/7 and confidential at 1-800-522-4700. And you can chat with them at their website, www.ncpgambling.org/chat. There's Gamblers Anonymous at www.gamblersanonymous.org. For eating disorders and food addictions, we got the National Eating Disorders Association. That's the www.nationaleatingdisorders.org. They got a helpline for you that Monday through Thursday, 11 to 9 Eastern Time, Friday, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time at 1-800-931-2237. And you can crisis text them at text NEDA to 741-741. Overeaters Anonymous is www.oa.org. You can find a meeting at www.oa.org/find-a-meeting. Sex and porn addiction, we got Sex Addicts Anonymous at www.saa-recovery.org. Their helpline is 1-800-477-8191. Reboot Nation, which is pornography and internet addiction support at www.rebootnation.org. Pornography awareness and support at www.fightthenewdrug.org. Technology and social media addiction, Center for Internet and Technology Addiction is www.virtual-addiction.com. Dr. David Greenfield, who's an expert on internet addiction, has resources and books available. Screen Time Recovery offers coaching and therapy for digital dependency at www.screentimerecovery.com. And plastic surgery and body dysmorphia. You got the Body Dysmorphic Disorder Foundation at www.bddfoundation.org. You got the National Alliance on Mental Health, which is www.nami.org. Their helpline is 1-800-950-6264, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And for crisis text, you can text NAMI, NAMI to 741-741. And general mental health and addiction support, you can text their crisis text line, text hello to 741-741 for free 24/7 mental health support. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is dial 988 for immediate support, or their website is 988lifeline.org. Self-help addiction recovery at www.smartrecovery.org. And if you or someone you know is in immediate danger, do not hesitate to call 911 or visit the nearest emergency room in your area. So definitely don't hesitate to utilize any of those resources that we just shared with you.